Welcome to this new episode of The Chart of Life. Today I want to talk about parables, why Jesus used to use them when he talked to his people, what's the message behind those parables, and how we can use them to talk with our people. Because, sometimes it happens to me all the time. I ask myself, how can I talk about Jesus with this or that person? And the parables are like the best point to start with. You don't have to learn every passage of the Bible, but if you start with parables, which we can memorize pretty easily, that's a nice starting point. And I use them all the time, even when I don't especially talk about Jesus in situations, but I use his parables. So sometimes I talk about finances with people, and when you meet people, you don't know how they react when you talk about Jesus. So if I just use his parables without saying his name, at least for the beginning, so I know where this people stands, if you like to talk about Jesus or maybe not. If I just use his parables, they understand, most of the times they will understand the point of the parable, but I didn't talk about Jesus, And if I then see that people are willing to, to hear more about it, so then I will basically say, Jesus used to say blah, 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 and stuff like that. So I think the parables are like, for me, the best point, the best thing to start to talk about Jesus. And I think I will make some kind of series out of this. I will maybe make some kind of playlist. I don't know. I'll have to think about it for a bit. But yeah, I think I will do something like this. And I will basically talk about every parable Jesus talked about during his life. And today I am going to start with the parable of the sower. You can find it in Matthew 13, verse 3 to 9. So I'm gonna read it to you very quick. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but then the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell along thorns, which grew up and chopped the plants. Still other seed fell along good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. So this parable reminds me of a picture I saw a few weeks ago. Basically, it was a street, and at some point you can turn left or right. And there are two signs, and the one says, I believe in God, okay? And the left side, the left street was full of people, okay, full. So the right side, the sign basically said, I obey God. And there were like 5, 6 people or something like this, okay? So so believing in God doesn't mean that you obey him, right? And basically that's the point of the parable. The seed is God's word, and a lot of people are gonna hear about it, but only the one who believe in God and obey God are the one who basically produce a crop 160 or 30 times what was sown, Or the other people, which basically only believe, they are basically comparable with rocky places or with seeds that fell along thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Okay, so basically the whole message about this a parable is this about God's word. I think that the farmer is Jesus. Okay, the farmer is Jesus, and he is scattering his seeds, and some of them will fall onto good soil. People are gonna believe in God first, and obey him then. And other people are just gonna say, well, yeah, I believe in God, but if you believe and you don't obey, it's not that, it's just not enough to be able to go into heaven one day. So the whole message is this. It also reminds me of something. I mean, this parable is the way Jesus talked to his people. Okay, so first of all, he talks to his people in parables. Why? So that anyone can understand him. So he basically knew that 2025 years after this, someone will read those parables. So we have to be able to understand these parables. Even the people that comes after us can be able to understand what he said because of these parables, because you can apply these parables in everyday life. And I will make an example. So I used to go into gym like 10 years ago, and basically I started when I was like 13, and I just started to go to the gym, and then I stopped, and then I started again, and then I stopped. And this parable reminds me of that time, because I used to go to the gym for like 3 months straight. I didn't miss a single lesson. Then I was sick for like a week, and I never started going to the gym again. I'm pretty sure you can apply it in your life also with some other example. Feel free to write it in the comment. I will appreciate it a lot to read your messages. And basically it's like this, and it happened a lot of times. The last time I went to the gym, it was in December of last year, and during the holidays, I stopped going to the gym, and since then I never started again. So it's like this. It's if you think about it, Jesus used to talk in these parables because you can apply them in everyday life, so everyone can understand it. Even in another 2000 years, people will apply these parables to their life. However, it's gonna be in 2000 years, I don't know, but it's timeless. You can use these parables in everyday life. It doesn't matter. You could use them 2000 years ago. You can use them now, and you will be able to use them in another 2000 years. So yeah, that's basically it. I think if you guys like it, I will start some kind of playlist. I will go through every parable Jesus talked about, and I will make a video about it. So, and explain it, because sometimes you read about that seed and you read about that soil, but what does he mean actually? But if you explain it, and you say, well, it's the seed, it's God's word, and if you take it, and if you obey God, you basically will be fruitful for you, for your family, for your life, and you can and will bless other people with it. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. You can talk to me if you have something going into your mind. Please feel free to write me a comment. I will reply, I promise. And I'll see you next time. God bless you. Bye bye.